Crip Mac was released from prison today on his birthday via Lupe.
He walked out of federal prison on his birthday, January 30th, 2026. Cameras ready. Phones up. After 33 months behind bars, the 55th Street General was finally free. Same day he was born, same day he touched daylight again. The symbolism alone made it feel cinematic, and the internet ran with it immediately. For a few hours, everything looked perfect. Clips flooded Instagram, supporters celebrated like a championship just got won. Comment sections filled with fire emojis and welcome home captions. After years of arrests, probation violations, jail fights, and federal charges, this felt different. This felt like a reset. And then the cuffs came back out. Before the night even had time to settle, LA County stepped in. Cold metal. No warning, no grace period, not even time to really breathe. From federal custody straight into county hands on a probation hold, freedom lasted 6 hours. The celebration flipped into confusion. Confusion turned into outrage. And outrage turned into something darker because within hours, the internet wasn't just asking why he got rearrested, people were saying he got smoked. Posts started spreading claiming something happened behind the scenes. Screenshots circulated with zero context. Fire emojis turned into question marks. Some people interpreted smoked as arrested, others took it as dead, and once that version started moving, it didn't need proof to keep spreading, but we'll get there. Because to understand why those 6 hours mattered so much, and why the rumor hit the way it did, you first need to understand what put him in federal prison in the first place. September 2023. Law enforcement picked him up and recovered a ghost gun, no serial number, loaded with live rounds. The firing pin was reportedly defective, meaning the weapon technically couldn't fire. That detail didn't matter to the feds, because as a convicted felon, possession of ammunition alone is enough. The gun doesn't have to work. The ammo makes it a federal charge, and his record wasn't helping him. Attempted robbery cases, drug transportation, prior probation violations, county bids, jail fights, the kind of history that makes prosecutors see pattern, not mistake. When you're publicly affiliated with 55th Street, face tattoos and all, every charge carries extra weight. Law enforcement doesn't just see a man with ammo, they see a documented gang member with a platform. He took the plea in 2024, 33 months, and while he was locked up, his name stayed alive. Phone calls leaked, jail stories spread, his persona didn't fade, it grew. That's what made the January 30th release feel so significant. This wasn't just a local figure coming home. This was someone the internet had debated daily for years, finally stepping back outside. So when the morning came and word started spreading, the reaction was massive. Supporters reposted old moments. Memes came back. There was cautious hope mixed in with the hype. People saying maybe this time would be different. Maybe prison forced reflection, maybe the energy would shift. You could feel it in the comments. But federal release doesn't erase state supervision. Just because one sentence ends doesn't mean every other condition disappears. When you're on probation tied to prior charges, there are layers to your freedom that most people watching from their phones don't understand. And while timelines were still celebrating, paperwork was already moving. LA County moved in the moment he cleared federal custody, probation hold tied to the same 2023 case. And here's where a lot of people got confused. They assumed finishing federal time meant he was done. It doesn't work that way. Probation isn't freedom. It's conditional survival. The system doesn't need a new felony to pull you back in. A technical trigger is enough, a condition tied to your supervision. Something as simple as association, location, or how you present yourself online. And for someone whose entire identity is publicly documented as gang-affiliated, those conditions aren't just rules. They're landmines. No drinking, no associating with known gang members, no being in certain neighborhoods, no social media that can be interpreted as promoting gang affiliation. But think about what that means for him specifically. The people he grew up with, documented, his childhood friends, cousins, the people who checked on his family while he was locked up. All of them flagged in the system. His neighborhood is his brand. It's tattooed on his face. It's in his handle. It's the reason people know his name. His entire online persona is built around an identity that probation rules explicitly restrict. So what exactly is he supposed to become overnight? LA County picked him up immediately. Up to 90 additional days while a judge reviewed whether terms had been violated. The internet saw handcuffs and assumed something dramatic happened. The reality was quieter, but just as heavy. No new shooting, no wild scandal, just supervision doing what supervision does. And while he sat in county, the silence created something worse than the rearrest. It created the rumor. When information goes quiet after something emotional, the internet fills the gaps. And it filled them fast. He got smoked, spread across multiple platforms simultaneously. Fire emojis started looking like something else. Screenshots with zero context got shared thousands of times. People who meant arrested, people who meant humiliated, and people who genuinely believed he was dead were all posting the same phrase. This isn't random behavior. The rap world has absorbed too many real tragedies for the reaction to feel unreasonable. When a gang-affiliated artist goes suddenly silent right after release, people don't assume paperwork. They assume violence. The culture has been conditioned by loss. Too many real stories ended that way for people to assume the boring explanation first. Add in the ambiguity of street slang, the absence of any official update, and the speed at which social media rewards the most dramatic interpretation. And a probation hold becomes a death rumor within hours. By the time the real explanation gained traction, death edits were already circulating, arguments were happening in comment sections about something that never occurred. Meanwhile, the reality was simple. He was sitting in LA County custody, alive, waiting on a judge. But the rumor spread faster than the truth. That's not about him specifically. That's about what the internet does when silence meets fear in a culture that's lost too many people. Behind all the noise, though, there's something worth understanding that most coverage skipped. Prison doesn't just lock your body. It rewires how you operate. Every room gets scanned. Every conversation becomes strategic. You don't relax. You calculate. Survival inside requires aggression and constant alertness. That's not a choice. It's adaptation. Survival on probation requires the exact opposite. Restraint, compliance, calm, stillness. Those two modes don't switch overnight. And when there are references to mental health struggles in his history, the public has seen the swings, the emotional volatility, the rapid shifts. Prison doesn't stabilize that. It intensifies it. Now, imagine stepping directly from that environment into a supervision structure that monitors your posts, tracks your location, and scrutinizes who's standing next to you in the background of a video. One live stream with the wrong person visible can become a violation. One drink on camera can become paperwork. One neighborhood appearance, even just driving through, can trigger scrutiny. It's not always about committing a new crime. It's about navigating a system that assumes you will. And when your past is permanently on record, technically violating something is always within reach, even when you're trying. That's the invisible cage that follows release. That's why the rearrest hit so fast. Not because he went out and did something dramatic, because the system doesn't need dramatic. It needs technical. Then February 21st came. This time, there was no bait and switch. He walked out of LA County for real. No federal custody waiting, no probation hold following, no surprise transfer. Footage surfaced quickly, and the body language looked different from the January celebration. Not hype, not performance. More like relief, the kind that comes when a door opens and actually stays open. Social media lit back up, early signs of interviews being lined up, the machine turning again. But the energy in the comments was different this time. Cautious. Like people understood something now that they didn't fully understand in January, because the beefs didn't disappear while he was inside. Rival tension still exists. Diss tracks still circulate. Online provocations are still coming. And probation didn't disappear because the hold cleared. The conditions are still there, still active, still watching. One misstep, even minor, could trigger the whole cycle again. At the same time, the attention is real. Post-release interviews are pulling numbers. Curiosity is high. The release rearrest rumor reel release sequence brought a fresh wave of people tuned in. If handled right, that momentum becomes something. Music, stability, actual forward movement. If handled wrong, it becomes another headline. The crossroads. He already proved he can survive prison. He's done it more than once. The question this story was never really about was whether he could make it through a sentence. The question is whether he can survive freedom. Prison is structured, freedom is not. And freedom for someone with his history isn't soft. It's conditional, it's monitored. It's measured in technical violations and probation check-ins, and social media posts analyzed by people looking for a reason. The streets are watching. The system is watching. The internet is definitely watching. Survival mode built his reputation. Viral energy built his brand. But discipline, the quiet, unglamorous kind that doesn't trend, might be the only thing that keeps him outside. And that's the hardest thing to build when the world is still waiting to see which version of your story it gets next.